One body, multiple suspects.
I killed Fenner.
I killed Fenner.
I killed Fenner.
No, she didn't. I did.
Someone really had it in for you, didn't they, Mr. Fenner?
And Eddie and Pat turn to crime.
If you find anything, Pat, you're on your own.
Girls' Night. Ab Fab follows Bad Girls, part of tonight's viewing, here on One.
Tonight, a silent protest over being evicted. What's forced the closure of their rest home?
Mass sackings, the huge number of staff facing the axe at what was our biggest tertiary institution.
Marching for a better deal. People Power launching America's newest civil rights movement.
And it's been wiped from the map, an outcry from New Zealand's forgotten community.
Good evening, plus the huge sting at the petrol station just in time for Easter.
Although if you find a stolen car, a police reward will ease the pain at the pump.
First, though, they're not happy about being forced from their home, but the government says they've got to go. It's evicting 100 elderly residents from their South Auckland rest home because it's not up to scratch. The Ministry of Health's shutting it down, saying it isn't safe and provides substandard care.
They came out armed with billboards. A silent protest so their voices could be heard.
I like to stay here.
We are islander. We have to stay with island things. And they support us, so we don't want my mum and dad to move out from here.
Most of the residents at the Culverden Group's Pacifica Centre and Hospital in Mangere are Pacific Islanders. But the Ministry of Health says this place isn't a safe haven for these old folk. It fails almost half the 40 legal standards rest homes have to meet.
They're related to patient care. The sorts of things they are, for example, management of medication, infection control, nutrition and food standards.
That's wrong. They should point it out to us, what they meant about what they're saying. You know, what we do is we are carrying the residents. We don't know what they're talking about.
If they don't know they haven't met their standards, doesn't that tell you what the problem is?
Around the whole care that we provided, there was no risk over there of anything related to the health and safety of the people.
There we go. Now we can wait for lunch.
This is home to more than 100 elderly, and news they may have to move isn't going down well.
I was horrified.
And I see what does go on. And to me, they're very caring. I said to her, just stay calm, don't get too upset, because you don't need an ulcer on top of your other problems.
As of yesterday, certification for the Pacifica Centre and Hospital was cancelled. So legally, as of today, the county's Manukau District Health Board can uplift patients and residents and relocate them. But the board will first wait for the outcome of the appeal by the owners of the rest home, which could take around a month. Donna Marie Lever, One News.
A quarter of the staff at a high-profile tertiary provider are facing the sack. In a dramatic downsizing plan, Te Wānanga o Aotearoa is poised to axe hundreds of jobs. It'll also sell off property in a book-balancing exercise forced by bad publicity and falling student numbers.
The Wānanga had carved out a place as the country's largest tertiary institution, but that's about to be whittled away under a massive restructuring plan.
The hardest bit is for us looking at staff numbers and getting the right size for the organisation.
And that means staff redundancies. From 1,100 now down to 800, meaning 300 jobs will go.
Well, I haven't been to the meeting to find out yet, but we'll see.
The Wānanga has been accused of running some flaky courses in the past, but it's pure economics which is forcing this change. Its finances are based on it having the equivalent of about 30,000 students, but it had 27,000 last year, and it's predicting about 20,000 this year.
The whole tertiary sector has been affected by a downturn in student demand, but certainly the negative publicity hasn't helped.
After severe political attack, the Auditor General was called in and found significant problems with its financial management. Now the government plans to fund tertiary education, not just on student numbers, but in a way that produces more practical courses likely to drive economic growth.
In the changing tertiary sector, we're not alone. There'll be a number of organisations readying themselves for what's coming.
And while the opposition blames the government...
This is the fault of a government that wrote out cheques for hundreds of millions of dollars to the Wānanga when it knew that it wasn't doing a good job, and now the staff are paying the price.
The Wānanga's got to form its own destiny, and Wānanga's got to ensure that the Wānanga's around tomorrow. So it's about us.
But it's also about balancing the books. Even with these staff cuts, the Wānanga is looking at a deficit of up to $13 million this year. But it's hoping under the restructuring plans it will begin making a small profit by 2007. Guy and Espiner, One News.
Petrol prices have soared to the highest levels seen in recent years. BP led the push with a 6 cent a litre hike. 91 unleaded is now $1.62 and premium grade costs 5 cents more. The oil giants blame the rise on increases in the cost of crude. Shell, Mobil and Caltex all followed BP's lead just ahead of the busy Easter break.
Although the pain won't be so bad if you track down a stolen car, Wellington Police are offering a $100 petrol voucher as a reward. They say cash incentives are sometimes the only way to catch a criminal.
Peter's car's been missing for almost a week. The theft's now linked to a hold-up at a nearby pub.
The attempted robbery took place here the same night the car was stolen. A masked man came in brandishing what's believed to be an air gun and demanded money, but he left empty-handed.
Guy just came behind the counter with a gun, pointed at me, and I said, "Get the out of my bar," and walked him back round this way and out back to the door.
The thief missed out on the cash, but anyone who turns him in gets free gas.
We wanted to locate it as quick as possible. We wanted an angle to get out to the public. Hey, could you please have a look out for this car? We thought, well, we'll offer them a $100 petrol voucher.
Oh, I think that's a great idea, because clearly I'd like my car back. It's got a lot of sentiment attached to it, and it's my car. It's a great car.
Not everyone agrees with paying snitches.
It's a short-term fix, but it's always a very dangerous precedent when the police start paying for evidence.
Despite the lure of free fuel, there's no arrest yet. And as petrol prices rise, the reward's getting smaller by the day. Jennifer Curtis, One News.
The brazen daylight shooting of a Black Power member's teenage son has angered police and scared residents of the Lower Hutt suburb of Nainai. Gang tension is high as police hunt 5 mongrel mob members in connection with the attack.
The 15-year-old boy was walking home from rugby practice with a friend when he was shot in the back from a black Subaru Legacy. Police want to speak to mongrel mob members about the drive-by shooting.
It's just pure luck that the projectile didn't strike a vital organ and that we're not dealing with a homicide.
Black Power gang members live in the street. For neighbours, it's too close for comfort. They're scared.
Yeah, it's quite shocking, isn't it, just to see it happening right next door.
Yeah, there's a lot of gangs around here.
It's just disappointing to know that it can happen out here and, you know, around this area.
But the brother and the boy's friends aren't surprised.
I just said he got shot. That's about it.
When did you find out?
Yesterday, half an hour, just after it happened. The only thing that I'm scared of is him dying. Well, I reckon he'll get through.
Police fear the boy was the unwitting victim of a gang spat involving other members of his family.
We certainly are sick of gang tensions. It takes up a lot of time, resources, and there's the obvious danger to the public.
Late this afternoon, the boy was discharged from hospital, but his friends worry it's not safe and they're watching their backs. Shalene Hearn, One News.
Hundreds of thousands of people have marched through 100 US cities in a massive show of support for America's illegal immigrants. They demanded a better deal for the nation's huge immigrant underclass in one of the biggest civil rights protests since the days of Martin Luther King.
In New York, in Washington, and in dozens of American cities, hundreds of thousands of immigrants, many of them illegal, stepped from the shadows to demand rights.
All we want is to work hard and be here.
The marches had been intended to celebrate a law that would offer illegal immigrants a path to citizenship, when politicians, led by conservative Republicans, instead contemplated a bill that would make it a crime to help illegal immigrants, and then went home for Easter. Celebration became protest.
People are waking up and saying that this is not right and enough is enough, and we're not going to stand by and just watch. We're going to take action.
It's estimated there are over 11 million illegal immigrants in the United States. Thousands pour into the country every week. Most are from Mexico and here to find a better life. For decades, they've been used in America's fields and sweatshops, doing jobs that US citizens don't want for wages they wouldn't accept.
America is absolutely hooked on cheap labor. If we were to send back or deport all illegal workers tomorrow would be the equivalent of emptying New York State.
Many of the demonstrators waved these. Asked to do so by march organisers, they were hoping to send the message that they're not dangerous illegal immigrants, but Americans. Not everyone agrees.
And that there's 360 million Americans that need to start standing up for their country before we give it away.
Organisers are promising more protests when lawmakers return after the Easter break. Immigration now firmly back on the political agenda in the United States. Tim Wilson, One News, New York.
Officials in India are blaming an electrical fault for sparking a deadly inferno. The fire swept through a crowded electronics fair, killing more than 50 people. The flames engulfed 3 big tents in the northern city of Meerut, where TV sets and home appliances were on show. 100 others suffered serious burns.
Back here, a suspected stolen van's been involved in a fatal crash with a truck. A passenger in the van died at the scene in South Auckland's Tuakau. The driver was rushed to hospital. Police say speed and wet weather were factors in the accident.
The group behind plans for a 250-berth marina in Whangamata have launched a legal challenge after the government scuttled the project. The local Marina Society has filed papers for a judicial review of the Conservation Minister's veto. Its lawyers say Chris Carter did not follow the correct process in reaching his decision.
In terms of the sort of accuracy you would require of a minister with final discretionary power, I think it falls below the standard.
The Environment Court approved the marina project before being overruled.
They've been forgotten for 40 years, but now they want their identity restored. Te Ngāwhai is a district 50 kilometres west of Timaru that was wiped from the map in the 1960s. The few residents in the area are fighting back.
This is Te Ngāwhai, population 50. Not that you'd know it.
Over here by the hay barn was where the Te Ngāwhai Football Club used to play. And down from this granary was where the Te Ngāwhai Rifle Club used to shoot into that bank. And this is the Te Ngāwhai School.
Weeds have overtaken the old schoolyard and the steps lead nowhere. In fact, there's so little left, it's been wiped from official records. The war memorial's pretty much the only reminder of what used to be.
We owe it to that generation that sacrificed a lot to actually care, have the place at least put on the map and fly the flag. This is the map cupboard.
Jeremy Sutherland says despite the distinct lack of amenities, it still deserves a name.
This is a good example of...
But none of the dozen maps he's got mark his home district. Land Information erased it 40 years ago. Now he wants it back.
Clearly shows Camp Valley and Limestone Valley marked as districts, yet completely ignoring the Te Ngāwhai domain, which is the centre of the Te Ngāwhai district.
Land Information says anyone can apply to have a place added or altered on its maps, and each case is decided on its merits, but it won't say whether Te Ngāwhai will earn its spot on the maps again. Sarah Azam, One News.
Neil has sport a little later on, and a big-name Kiwi set to make his comeback to the NRL.
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
A lot of interest in Sonny Bill Williams. He's been named to play with the Bulldogs this weekend.
Excellent.
We've got more on Sonny Bill shortly, but he's not the only comeback. Mr. T is looking to create his own hurricane this weekend. Plus, taking it off the track, a NASCAR catfight ignites a new rivalry.
But coming up, chilling calls for help from those trapped during 9/11.
Knocking out rock snot, a new move to control the fast-spreading algae.
And dialing into the future, the obscure band hoping for riches as its music goes mobile.
The road to a bright future.
Getting married was the happiest day of our lives.
I'm gonna make you happy every day. You get everything and I get nothing.
May take you to a place where dreams are lost.
He was found with a woman, not his wife.
Me and Clem did a stupid, desperate thing. Tried to get back something we'd never have again. I didn't kill him.
Then why lie to my face? What are you hiding?
Cold Case, 8:30 Wednesday on One.
At Carpet Court, we're New Zealand's biggest, and some say best carpet store. Each and every year, more and more New Zealand families entrust us with their precious homes, and with very good reason. Because at Carpet Court, no matter what colour or flooring style you choose, we always roll out the red carpet. Carpet Court, you'll love the look.
Good day, mate. Got your additives for your beef.
McDonald's, all our beef patties are 100% pure beef. Cooked, then seasoned with a little salt and pepper.
Eating whole grain foods every day is essential to our diet, as they provide us with many beneficial nutrients, vitamins and minerals for maintaining good health. Whole grains have been shown to help maintain a healthy heart and manage a healthy weight. And for children, whole grain cereals for breakfast gives them the energy to help concentrate at school. Sanitarium whole grain cereals like Wheat Bix, Cornies and Honey Puffs are all family favourites. Look out for the Sanitarium whole grain logo in your cereal aisle. New Zealand's original pasta, Diamond, has just improved their whole range by combining the best Italian know-how with finest Durham wheat to create a premium quality pasta for New Zealand tastes. Not only does Diamond now taste better, but it has perfect texture which holds its shape and prevents it sticking together. Perfect to create those hassle-free Kiwi favourites like lasagna and spaghetti bolognese, which everyone will love. Discover the great new taste of Diamond pasta in these distinctive new packs. Look for the Eating Well leaflet at Foodtown and Woolworths.
They've made some improvements in the technology department since I was in charge around here. Grape juice. But this is still your local. Cream too, when it comes to the really important stuff.
Bring it over to the house, about 7. I'll be expecting you.
And convenient too.
Relax, live, enjoy. Global living.
It's bigger and better than ever before. So be at Jade Stadium and get behind the Crusaders. Catch all the rugby action, the Paul Kelly Motor Company dancers and the Crusaders horsemen. Crusaders versus Cheetahs this Saturday, 5:30 p.m.
Tonight, they get bagged for not fixing the roads we've got and for vetoing the roads we want. Do Transit New Zealand deserve the chop?
I need you to trust me.
Plus, the man who gave us Lost serves up Mission Impossible 3.
It was actually a very intimate love story.
That's tonight on Close Up at 7.
Trials are underway in Southland to knock the snot out of rock snot, or Didymo. Scientists have narrowed the tests to 4 chemicals, hoping to find one that'll control the invasive river algae.
The war against rock snot has begun.
These substrates will be completely clad with Didymo by the time we put them in here for the trials.
Biosecurity New Zealand and NIWA are testing biocides, hoping to find a chemical that will control and kill the invasive algae.
So we've narrowed it down to about 4 different substances at this stage. Those substances, we are looking more closely at the potential effects on other parts of the ecosystem, such as insects, mayflies, on trout and on native fish.
Didymo was first found in the Waio River 18 months ago. Now it's infiltrated 11 South Island rivers and spreading fast.
I thought this was a, low temperature country. I'm just blown away to think that it had spread so wide.
The project here at Monowai has cost $500,000, but New Zealand stands to lose a lot more if Didymo is left unchecked. A report has shown that it could cost our country nearly $300 million over the next 6 years if a control isn't found.
I can't see that they're going to control it, but we're going to have to find out if we can.
That should be known when trials finish in June. A long-term strategy will be determined in 5 months. Megan Martin, One News.
Many communities across the country want to grow but can't because the roads can't cope. Developments are being put on hold after Transit ruled they'd cause traffic chaos. In Warkworth, north of Auckland, locals have held a protest meeting saying they're fed up with the stalling.
The area around those follows around the river and round here to the road.
It's farmland now, but if a developer gets its way, it'll be a prime retail spot called Stockyard Falls. But like many projects, it's stalled because Transit says it's a traffic catastrophe in waiting.
Just because we haven't got the infrastructure that they believe that can turn around and manage the traffic at the moment, doesn't give them the right to completely stop development.
We certainly encourage economic development. It's one of Transit's objectives. But economic development of this scale needs to properly fund and provide the infrastructure that's needed to support it.
Just up that road is the Stockyard Falls development, currently on hold. This intersection is one of the major traffic nightmares in Warkworth. Just up the road is another. This is the Hill Street intersection, another Warkworth traffic tragedy. These two intersections are both on State Highway 1 and cause major congestion.
We've got 9,000 residents who live east of Hill Street who have to come through there on a daily basis.
Some in Warkworth want to bypass in Transit's 10-year plan. It's one of the options discussed at last night's meeting.
Because they're not their roads. You paid for them with your petrol tax.
A major bypass of Warkworth, which would provide relief for traffic and allow these developments to proceed, is unlikely in the next 10 years.
But Transit says that doesn't mean it won't happen eventually. Sharon Ferguson, One News.
One of the last people to see German hitchhiker Birgit Breuer alive has given evidence at a hearing to determine whether her accused killer stands trial. A metal jack rod has emerged as a key item in the case.
A handmade sign hangs near where Birgit Breuer lost her life. But it was by this sign marking a remote intersection on the Taranaki coast that farmer Richard Leatherby says he saw Birgit Breuer just hours before she died. Breuer's face was pale and she was hunched over uncomfortably in the cab of a dark-coloured Toyota Surf. Leatherby said the driver looked weird. The occupants didn't suit the vehicle, which looked like it was from out of the area. Later that day, Breuer's body was found at nearby Lucy's Gully. Michael Scott Wallace, who we're not allowed to show because of a court order, is charged with her murder. Witness Charmaine Brennan said she saw a mean-looking man leaving Lucy's Gully that afternoon. Brennan identified that man as Michael Wallace. The Crown alleges Breuer had been beaten so badly with a thin iron bar, her head looked like a jigsaw. Brent Cleverly, who used to employ Wallace, told the hearing that Wallace took his dark grey Toyota Surf a month before Breuer's death. And in the Surf was a thin metal car jack extension bar like this one. During proceedings, Wallace barely moved or reacted. One of the few times he did move was when a prison guard sitting next to him had a coughing fit and Wallace offered him a glass of water. Simon Bradwell, One News.
The desperate emergency calls of people trapped in the burning Twin Towers have been replayed at the sentencing trial of self-confessed 9/11 conspirator Zacharias Moussaoui. However, the cockpit voice recordings from the doomed planes won't be released.
Just minutes after the second plane slammed into the World Trade Center on September 11th, a 911 operator received a desperate phone call from a woman who worked in an office high up in the South Tower. It was Melissa Doy, a 32-year-old manager at IQ Financial Systems.
I'm on the 83rd floor. There's no one here yet, and the floor is completely engulfed. We're on the floor, and we can't breathe. And it's very, very, very hot.
And it's very hot there, but no fire, right?
Of course there's smoke.
Ma'am, you have to stay calm.
There is smoke. I can't breathe.
Okay.
It's very hot. I see any air anymore.
Okay.
All I see is smoke.
As firefighters on the ground scrambled to get people out, Melissa Doy became increasingly alarmed that no rescuers had reached her floor.
I'm gonna die, aren't I? No. I'm gonna die.
Ma'am, say your prayers.
A similar plea for help came that day from Kevin Cosgrove of Aon Corporation, from even higher up on the 105th floor.
There's two of us in this office. We're not ready to die, but it's getting bad. We're getting there. These young men, we're not ready to die. Come on, I need oxygen.
3 times he called, getting a different operator each time. He was on the phone until the very last second. By just before 10 a.m., New York City firemen had reached the 78th floor when the tower collapsed, killing Melissa Doy, Kevin Cosgrove, and everyone else inside.
Those Paris street riots have paid off for the protesters. They've convinced the French government to scrap its much-loathed new labour law. President Jacques Chirac says it'll be replaced by other measures to tackle youth unemployment. The backflip is a major blow for Prime Minister Dominique de Villepin, who'd staked his personal credibility on the tough job contracts. Union leaders are planning another massive rally to celebrate their victory. Italy's main opposition leader, Romano Prodi, has claimed a knife-edge victory in the country's tightly fought general election. Early results show his centre-left coalition winning 49.8% of the vote against 49.7% to the centre-right. But Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi, Italy's richest man, is demanding a recount. And Canadian police have charged 5 people with the murder of 8 members of the Bandidos bikie gang found shot dead on a farm in Ontario. The killings are being blamed on internal cleansing by fellow members of the gang, a major rival to the Hells Angels.
The government's pouring more money into our $200 million meningococcal vaccination program. Health Minister Pete Hodgson, who witnessed the 3 millionth vaccination in South Auckland, says an extra $22 million will be invested over the next 3 years.
We're not finished, but you can see the end in sight. It is now time to say that those who oppose this idea might now consider themselves to be wrong. I certainly think they are.
In the last 2 years, there has been a 57% drop in reported cases of meningococcal disease.
Impulse buying is set to get a whole lot easier in the pop music digital revolution. Britain now has its first song that fans can only buy on their mobile phones.
Is this the way we'll all be buying music soon? Planet Funk, an Italian band which wants to be big in Britain, has decided its new single will only be available to download on a mobile phone. A clever marketing ploy for an obscure band, but the manager says it's the way of the future.
Well, the band have used the latest technology in their videos, in the studio when they record their music, and this is the very latest way of buying music, is downloading it straight to your mobile phone.
It now takes just 20 seconds to download a single onto a third-generation phone. And though it's more expensive than putting it on your computer, mobile music sales are accelerating. Of course, the mobile phone networks are desperate that we start seeing our phones as music machines. The more time we spend downloading music or video, rather than simply talking on our phones, the better for their revenues. This week's #1 single, Crazy by Gnarls Barkley, got to the top solely as a result of downloads, and many of them were to mobile phones. When the new technology arrived, the record label's first reaction was panic, but now they're rushing to embrace it. The iPod showed that music lovers were ready for the digital revolution. Now it could soon be displaced by the mobile phone as the modern way to buy and listen to music.
Well, I'm not sure who wrote this next line, but apparently the very, very attractive Mark's along here.
Oh, let's guess who wrote that one, Mark.
I wrote that, obviously.
Great throw, I love it. Of course it's true.
Yeah, and road rage in the air tonight. Well, rage about the lack of roads. Who's calling the shots when it comes to laying down some tarmac? The people, as they say, are revolting. And you could get a bit sick of the road when you face a 100-kilometre walk. We follow 4 who took it on. And you'll have to join us at 7 with the attractive people to see if they really made it, Wendy.
How many very attractives was that, Mark? Thank you very much. Still to come, though, our banking watchdog's warning about your money.
Why the Queen's 80th birthday is being described as trivial.
And the top-of-the-line sandwich you can really sink your teeth and a fortune into.
There's nothing unusual about suburban kids acting up.
We told you, our mom and dad are in Europe.
It's their 20th anniversary.
But what starts as absent parents...
I had my guys check with customs. They never left the country.
...soon turns into something more like an urban myth.
Who are these people? Where are these people? And why have they left their kids alone for the past 2 weeks?
The drug case just became a double homicide. Oh, my God. What if we're going about this all wrong?
Close to home. Wednesday on 1.
It's Arbuckle's Super Flannelette Sheet Sale. Save 30% on quality flannelette sheets, including Egyptian. All brands, all colours, all prints. Arbuckle's 30% off Super Flannelette Sheet Sale. Now on. Arbuckle's.
Come into Retrovision for our best prices. This top-selling F&P washer, a low 1192. Ask for our best price in store, save even more. Plus, get a $1,000 bonus resort check for our best deals and lowest prices. Retrovision, we've got it.
Well, look, it depends on what Han Seng's doing here. No, we need to...
If the relationship with your bank feels a little like an arranged marriage, perhaps all you need is a rewarding little flirtation on the side. A relationship based purely on tangible rewards, with no fees or strings attached. And available 24 hours a day. Best of all,
7 kilograms of prawns. Fact 32 reveals the Queen's a happy snapper with her camera. A royal fact find aimed to show the different faces of the Queen as she heads to her 80th birthday. The big questions, though.
What's her favourite foods?
And does she like Camilla? That's what I really want to know. We may never get answers to. Melissa Stokes, One News, London.
Well, might be able to answer that favourite food one. You see, if anyone can afford this next luxury item, it would have to be the Queen. Have a look at this. This tasty-looking sandwich on sale in London rings in at, you get it, $240. You can blame the cost on the meat inside. It's Wagyu beef, which comes from Kobe cattle, highly prized in Japan, where it's reared in luxury on a diet of top-quality grain and beer. Mayonnaise made from foie gras and truffles also boost the price, as does the Brie de Meaux cheese. And it's all topped off, though, with relatively cheap roast peppers and plum tomatoes.
That's ridiculous. 240 bucks for that?
Yeah.
Come on. Neil's here with sport and there's some pressure on those Blues players looking for the All Black jersey.
Well, if they're selected on current form, there might be a few problems in the camp. More on that shortly, but first, as NASCAR experiences a phenomenal growth in popularity, it's also seeing the development of some fierce rivalries. In the latest round of the Texas Speedway, a new one was forged after Greg Biffle, who led for 49 laps, was knocked out of the race when nudged from behind by Kurt Busch. It was an incident that could have been avoided and proved too much for Biffle's girlfriend, Nicole. Incensed, she went to Busch's pit box and confronted his fiancée, Eva, living the ethics, stand by your man. The race eventually won by birthday boy Casey Khan, giving himself the ideal present with no girlfriend in sight. We've got more sport for you after the break, including the Australians face up to the unimaginable. Plus, Sonny Bill is ready to make a splash, and a 9-year-old with a difference.
I just wanted to thank you so very much for my haircut.
Oh, now, think nothing of it.
Oh, you might allow me to repay you with dinner.
No, thank you. I'd love that.
Coronation Street, tonight on 1. Caltex has created a new fuel that cleans your engine as you drive. New improved Caltex petrol with Techron. Techron keeps your engine cleaner to perform better. How you clean the outside is up to you. Choose Caltex petrol with the unbeatable cleaning power of Techron.
At Carpet Court, we're New Zealand's biggest, and some say best carpet store. Each and every year, more and more New Zealand families entrust us with their precious homes, and with very good reason. Because at Carpet Court, no matter what colour or flooring style you choose, we always roll out the red carpet. Carpet Court, you'll love the look.
Walking with friends is just one way you can get out and push play. You can do it, move it every day. No matter what you do, you got to push play. For more inspiration, use the Activator online at spark.org.nz.
Push play. Reverend Goodfellow has a lot on his mind. A neglected wife.
I see your wife. I'm her golf pro. Been to the ball.
And a carefree daughter. Now their lives are about to change, thanks to a new housekeeper.
Have you thought about sex?
Sex?
Rowan Atkinson, Kristen Scott Thomas, Maggie Smith, Patrick Swayze.
I'm gonna lick my way up slowly all the way to your little...
That sounds lovely.
Keeping Mom.
Now that's mysterious.
A healthy home is dry, warm and pollutant-free. But just how healthy is your home? Here are some clues. When you drop something on the floor, does it float? Does that mould in the laundry have its own show on Animal Planet? Play the Contact Energy Healthy Homes game at Mitre 10 or Farmers. Or visit the Positive Energy website. You'll find lots of different ways to make your home healthier and save energy. Often with just a change in habits. Contact Energy, helping to make every home a healthy home. Not now, Beatrice.
Come into Retrovision for our best prices. This top-selling F&P washer, a low 1192. Ask for our best price in store, save even more. Plus, get a $1,000 bonus resort check for our best deals and lowest prices. Retrovision, we've got it.
Imagine building a home that exceeds your expectations in every way. A home where you get everything just right. Just imagine.
At Countdown, you'll get a dehumidifier for only $159 and an oil heater for just $59.95. You'll find everything from homeware to hardware, which is a nice surprise. You can count on us to keep prices down at Countdown.
Phoebe's car seat is stolen, but it's insured, so why can't she get another one?
And they wanted it delivered, not broken.
They are hopeless.
A very poor service. Aren't they professionals? Or supposed to be?
Fair Go, 7:30 Wednesday on 1.
Tonight on Close Up, the highwaymen are under attack. Have Transit New Zealand got it all wrong, or are we just impossible to please? And we follow a brave group of women
We've been going for 14 hours.
walking 100 kilometres non-stop around Taupo. Join us tonight at 7.
Carmichael Hunt today ruled out playing for the Kiwis, reconfirming a desire to play State of Origin instead. But someone very much in the Kiwis' sights will make a long-awaited return to league this weekend. Sonny Bill Williams has been named by the Bulldogs to play Souths after battling a persistent foot injury.
It's a comeback 10 months in the making, and Sonny Bill Williams is now fit enough to do a runner from the waiting press pack.
He's just over all the publicity, I think. He just wants to get on and play footy and be able to, be left to concentrate on that.
Since this injury last June, the Bulldogs' biggest star has had to make do with dog paddling. A hit out on Saturday convinced his coach Williams is fit enough to play. The biggest question now...
The Kiwi selectors will be asking about his availability. What will your response be? He's from New Zealand, mate. I guess you are. That's 3 weeks away, and I'm not even prepared to speculate on that. It's too far down the track.
Meanwhile, Benji Marshall will undergo more scans tomorrow on his dislocated shoulder.
Still thinking that it'll require surgery at some stage. Whether or not it's now or at the end of the year will be determined tomorrow with the specialist.
On Sunday, it was feared Penrith halfback Craig Gower had cracked his sternum. The injury's been diagnosed as a bruised lung, and he could play this weekend.
I don't know if I want him to play, but yeah, I think he can play. So it wasn't anything that's extremely bad.
And Parramatta's shocking start to the season has resulted in a crisis meeting between players, with coach Brian Smith not invited. Andrew Potter, One News, Sydney.
After a 5-week layoff, Tana Umaga looks set to turn out for the Hurricanes this weekend against the Highlanders. Umaga injured his knee against the Cheetahs last month and returns to spark the Hurricanes as they come off a bye.
Hurry up, man!
Tana Umaga has every right to be impatient. It's been 5 weeks since he's played for the Hurricanes after suffering a knee injury. Today he was back at training and confident of turning out this weekend.
The knee's good. It's come through all the tests so far. Obviously I've just got to try and get through this week now, and I'm available for this weekend, so now I've just got to put myself out there and hopefully the coaches pick me.
He looks fit and available. We'll make that call. It's looking good. I mean, he played well in club rugby and he's looking pretty good today.
After announcing his retirement from the All Blacks earlier this year, Umaga had only 4 games before being sidelined after suffering a cruciate ligament injury against the Cheetahs last month. His introduction back to rugby was for his club side Petone on the weekend.
Oh, the knee was fine, but the rest of my body was pretty sore. Yeah. Ross Kennedy caught me a couple of times at the bottom of the ruck. You're not used to getting rucked these days in professional rugby, so to go back to club rugby and get rucked was a bit of a different feeling.
Umaga will know on Friday whether he's got the thumbs up for Sunday's match against the Highlanders. Katie Bayliss, One News.
If senior Blues players are wondering whether the All Black selectors' axe is hovering, they aren't showing it. The Blues head into week 10, 11 points off the top 4, and with just 5 weeks to go, time may be against players seeking All Black jerseys.
If I miss the squad, I miss the squad, and there's better players out there, and for the better of New Zealand rugby, they deserve to be there.
Senior All Blacks like Williams say they're not giving the All Black season any thought, but others know their form is not good.
It's not been a bit patchy, I think. Hasn't been up to the standard where I'd like it, but just keep looking to build these next couple of games.
Out wide, it's ball Joe Rokethoko wants, although he rejects he should go looking.
No, I'm always hungry, Kaz. Sorry. I'm always hungry to look for the ball, but in certain situations it just won't come, so you got to create opportunity for other guys outside you or inside you.
Meantime, injury concerns have lifted, with Daniel Braid and Doug Howlett available for selection against the Western Force. Jerome Kaino is back in the squad, replacing the injured Angus McDonald. Glenn Lama, One News.
John Edsett maintains he hasn't left the struggling New Zealand Knights soccer franchise in the lurch despite his sudden resignation as manager yesterday. And while the club is putting on a brave face, it's clear his decision has caught everyone by surprise.
The first day of his retirement after 38 years in football. Yet John Edsett says those that really know him aren't surprised he's stepping away from the game after successfully battling back from prostate cancer.
How much of your decision has been based on health?
It's part of it, there's no doubt at all about that.
Edsett's retirement puts player recruitment on hold while a new manager is found. The club's still coming to grips with his departure.
Is it important we have a New Zealand coach? I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know who the coach or the new manager is going to be. We've got to, as I said, we've got to go through the process yet.
Edsett's decision to retire was made last week. It was kept so secret, the players only found out about it 45 minutes before it was made public.
Yeah, we were very surprised because everything had gone along the lines of moving forward and there was really no word of this.
Yet the club clearly believes they can fill the gap.
Is this a setback, though, the club didn't need?
Well, that's an interesting question too. I don't know whether I view it as a setback or not.
But doesn't the man who's done more for New Zealand soccer than anyone else deserve a better exit from the game than this?
Like I said, I'd love to leave the game with a championship. Of course I would like it to be a better ending, but sadly it's not.
Craig Stanaway, One News.
Netball's best players took to the catwalk to launch the national domestic competition today. Players from each franchise modelled new uniforms. Defending champion Bay of Plenty Magic will start without Silver Fern Casey Williams. But captain Irene van Dijk is taking nothing for granted, despite heading into the competition clear favourites.
The teams look pretty even this year. It's going to be a brilliant competition. The games are going to be tough. It's going to be close games, so can't wait.
The competition starts in 3 weeks.